everybody, welcome to my channel. For those of you that are new and coming for the first time, my name is Kim, and for those that are returning to see more segments that I do, thank you so much for following and for subscribing and for hanging out with me. So I'm just going to do a quick little recap. Last week I did a video where we made this box for holding all of your finished ephemera, so it can hold things like tags that you've made, or journal cards, or pockets and flip-flops and flips and little mini cards. So it's just a place to store all of your ephemera in one place. It looks pretty. It is inspiring when you come into your room and you see what you have. You can also get an idea of what you still need to make. Like this is some clusters in here that I've worked on. So this just gives you an idea of how to fill the box and what it looks like when it's full. And in the video, I suggested that if you were going to come back and watch other videos with me, that you should make a second box. And I'll just move this aside. There goes my glue cap. And so this is the second box that I made, and it's ready to be filled because it's empty. So all the boxes are individual. I still have to put a sealer coat on them yet, but I'll do that when I open up my Mod Podge, and I'll do it 1 or 2 boxes at a time until it's finally done. I am a fanatic about getting the job done, so eventually it will get done. The box itself is sealed, and it's decorated a little bit on the inside flaps, as well as all around the sides and along the bottom. I don't know if you can see that. So now the idea is to fill it, and this video is to show you how to take book pages and turn it into ephemera that isn't finished, but it's ready to finish. Sometimes you're working on a journal and you need a tag and or a journal card, and now you got to go and gather all the stuff and make that one journal card or that one tag to fill that pocket, and you're running around trying to finish it. And you may have tags made in your finished ephemera box, but maybe you're working on a journal of flowers and all you have are steampunk tags. Maybe you're working on home cooking journal and you don't have any tags that have pictures or recipes on them. So having an ephemera box that is ready to go allows you to just pick up a tag, quickly decorate it, and it's ready to go in your journal. Making the pre-made ephemera is also a great way when you are feeling kind of in a funk, when your muchness has run out for the day or for the week. Maybe your mojo has just gone on vacation, because sometimes she does that, right? She just up and leaves, and you're left with no inspiration, no creativity. This is a perfect project to work on for those days, and you will be surprised if you turn on some music, turn on a movie, or watch some YouTube videos while you're making your paper ready. You will be surprised at how quickly your funk comes back. So just bear with me, and I will show you how I go about doing this. I have several different types of books here that I'm going to show you. Now, I keep the book covers themselves for doing journals, but it's all the paper inside. So many people say that they just recycle it, but I don't understand why. I run out of paper. I have to take apart another book in order to get enough paper, and you'll see that in pretty soon. This book is from 1904. It's written in German. I have no idea. It's Old German, I think, like Mennonite German, or Low German they call it, and it's kind of a rag paper, very thick. Now I pulled the spine back quite easily. Isn't this cool, the writing inside here? And I just tear pages out as I go along. I could look for the signatures in these, but the pages are often so old and they tear so easily that it's not easy to find the actual signatures and take them apart individually. This book here is on Cleopatra. Wow, isn't she a beauty? So this one has a dust jacket that I will probably keep and cut out this image. It's just a plain hardcover book. A nice green end paper that I could use for something. There are pictures in here, but some of them are quite different. I wasn't quite expecting to see Cleopatra in this way. But these are really nice heavy-duty pages again. They're a nice size. I think they're 9 inches by 6, so you've got lots of different options with these pages. Again, no rhyme or reason as to the books I pick. I just kind of look for books that have nice hardcovers. This book I just love. It is, again, a German dictionary, German to English dictionary. And it's from 1913. Like, look at the script in here. And if you go further inside, there's just small print. Let's take some of those pages and use those today. I'm just going to grab a handful of each one. Now this book, I think it actually... Okay, so there's page 589. So there's over 600 pages, 623. So when you translate that divided by 2, that's like 300 pages of deliciousness here, just waiting to be turned into art. And then this beautiful cover. This is leather here, this part here. And then this part here is just a hardcover board. I would love to scan this because it's such a nice grungy looking paper. So I will scan it before I turn it into a journal. But yeah, there's lots of possibilities there. 365 Bedtime Stories. This is a really distressed book. It's from 1955, I believe. 1955, if you know your Roman numerals. What I like about this is it's got all these pictures in here. This is more of a book that I would use that is more child-oriented, or knowing that I'm going to take some of the pages and just completely cover them up and lose the pictures. Because it's 1955, it probably still is under full copyright, so I'm just going to use them for my art and not worry so much about scanning them or having pictures to play with. So I'll just take that out. I have a million pictures. Isn't that cute? I have a million pictures. I don't need the pictures in these books to work with. Again, another hard cover. It'll need some repair work to get the spine usable for a journal, but I'm just slowly tearing this out. Look at all this real distressed Scotch tape that you get in this book. I watch people making the fake stuff, and if you go to enough old books, you'll find the real stuff. And I'll just put that aside in my little junk pile. I think you can see my little box here that I've made. Yeah, it's another little box I made. It's got a bigger one for holding strips, and then some little pieces inside here, and then a little one for holding smaller pieces. This cigar box holds pieces that I use for collage, like when I did the books, and so I always have those handy for myself. Again, a couple of really cute end papers that I can use. And I was just tearing out this. This is like they used a gauze to bind this book. And you may laugh at me, but I'm going to keep this, and I'm going to show you in some videos coming up how you can use these pieces in your art. I know it's crazy. I know you think I'm a little whacked, but that's okay. I will show you what I do with this stuff after. some great end pages again in this book, so we'll probably come back and forth to it yet later on in this video. So this next book is a book of music, and I've already started taking some of the pages out. When I'm using a book like this, I tend to like to glue 2 pages together instead of using them singly. So I think you have to review the books that you're working with and decide what the purpose of the book is, and how you're going to handle the individual pages. I find that these tear so easy and they're fragile. So if you glue 2 together and do the same process that we're going to go through today, you'll find that it works much better, and your pages are much more durable. So a lot of times when you get these books, they fall apart so easy. You don't even have to put much work into them. It's just a matter of just using your human strength and just tearing the book apart. Whoa, look at that, I did it. So now I have a book cover that I can use to make another journal. And like I said, I have a collection of book covers because I run out of this stuff far sooner than I run out of books. So for those of you that are taking apart books and sending this to the recycling, maybe you need to rethink your methods. Anyway, the books come with end covers. Some of them are plain like this. I set those aside to use for backs of journal cards or for the backs of tags. So I keep a separate basket just for those. So I'm just going to show you. I'm just going to stick it, well, I'll stick it in this back one for now. And I have a few others here to show you. Sometimes you get books and people write on them. Like, look at this writing. Isn't this amazing? I just love stuff like that. And these will be things that I fold up and put in my books. This one has lines on the back. Can you just say journal card just like that? Look at it's ready to go. I don't know what it says, but I'm going to use it in something, and maybe somebody will translate for me. I'm pretty sure it's a religious content, because a lot of the books I get have are music books that are religious music hymnals and stuff. So it might have religious content, but I will phone a friend and find out, or scan it and send it to a friend. So that's one style that you might get in a book. And then this one was the last page of the music sheet, and I just kept it because it's blank. Again, I could just fold this in half and have an instant folded journal card, but I may decide to use this as back paper. When I'm working, I usually use scrap papers for backing my tags and my journal cards, but today I just kept a couple of sheets of cream colored copy paper just to quickly show you how to do the backs on things. So now that I've got this in here, that just gives you some ideas of what you can do with those end papers, and to put aside things that you might find. You might open up a book and have pictures in it. You might open up a book and find where people have written interesting stuff on the pages. So those pages I pull out separately and deal with them separately. And so that's just in the box for in the future. Now, another thing, when you take these books apart, especially the old books that are German hymnals or any type of European old books. I went to a thrift shop one time because I lived in a very in a community where there were a lot of German Mennonites. A lot of these books were so easy to find and pick up for very low prices. And one day I was in there picking out books, and an old gentleman came up to me, and he asked me what I was doing with all these German books in my cart. And I said to him that I was making art with them, and I told him why, and I said, you know, these books are selling for 50 cents, $1, $2, and if people don't buy them, they're just going to go to the landfill. So if I can turn them into art and make them have one more life before they go to the landfill, I don't feel badly for taking a book apart. Well, he was quite interested in my story and what I was doing, but then he told me a story, and he said to always make sure that when you rip a book open, to look at the spine. Because a lot of times during the war, when people were trying to get away from worn-torn areas and they could barely take anything with them, they often took their Bible, or they took a hymnal, or they took a book of importance to them, and then they would hide things in the spine. And I thought, well, that's cool, but of all the books I've been doing, I've never seen one. And then finally, about a year later, I tore open a book and folded, and I'm sorry I don't have it handy, possibly in another video I'll be able to show it to you, but folded up into about 6 folds was this thin piece of paper, and it looked like newspaper. And when I opened it up, it was a wedding announcement for a couple that had got married, and it was in the 1930s. And I'm guessing that was all they could take with them, and so they tucked that into the spine of the book. And I guess that was their way of hiding things in the book, so that if they were ever stopped, nobody knew where to find what to look for or whatever. And this gentleman said that people would hide money, they would hide jewelry, all kinds of things in the spine of the book, in that little gap, just to have that little bit of something that they were taking with them while they were escaping whatever turmoil that they were going through. So when you're taking apart a book, maybe you won't find anything ever, but if you do, just be careful to look through the spine part, and you never know what you might find in there. So that's kind of how I take books apart. I rip, tear, cut however way I can get them out. I'm not too concerned about how the spines turn out, because I know I'm going to patch and repair them later on anyway, but that's not part of this book. But oh, look at that grunginess. I just love that. Again, it's something that I would probably want to scan or use in another piece of art. So this I will definitely hang on to. So that'll go in my little back pile there. So then the next thing I want to show you will be putting some pages together for doing signatures. So I take 2 pages, and I'm going to cut off this rough edge. Now you can cut it on the cutter, or just trim it down. And we're going to do a few of them. Again, I do, scissors on backwards. And no, I'm not throwing my garbage on the floor. I do have a box here. So in order to make a signature page that folds over for your signature, I take the 2 pages and glue them together. But I glue them together with what I call paper tape, or foshi. Now foshi is just, for me, strips of paper. And in this case of the music book, they have these little numbers on the corner of the hymn song that is in the book. And so I will, right off the top, tear that off and tear off these numbers. And I stick them in this little box here, because you never know when you need number 54 for something. And then I have my strips that go into my strip portion of the box. I'm going to get that out of the way because it's going to make me crazy right now, but remember that piece. So I have a book here, or a box here of strips, my foshi tape or paper tape, and I don't have a method. Sometimes I cut these on the cutter. Sometimes I cut them in long strips or short strips. I just always keep a pile of these handy. So right off the hop there, I've used about 3 or 4 pages. And then to glue these 2 pages together, I'm going to take 2 of these pieces Now, I don't measure often. My motto is cut, measure, then say oops, and then cut again. So I'm going to take some glue and then glue this strip reasonably close. If you get it over, you can cut it off. If you get it short, it's not the end of the world. And then glue it down. And then I do the same thing from the top. Glue my 2 pages together at the top. Smooth that out. Do you know you get one of these free with every glue stick? And then I turn it over and do the same thing on this side. Smooth that out. And voila. So I now have 2 pages glued together on both sides, so it's really well reinforced. And I will just very gently, I recommend that you probably wait until this dries and then either score it or just gently fold it. But for the purposes of this video, I might have to fix a few things. And you have a signature ready. Now, like I said, it's a little bit damp, so it's kind of warpy right now, but to put in your book, it'll be fine. You won't see this paper tape, or not much of it, once it's inside your book. So you have a signature made. Now, if you do that 10 times, you've got 10 pages for your next book out of one book. So I'm going to start a section for my signature folds. So that's going to go in here. So then we're going to start making some ephemera to go in the book. Now, I've told you about the numbers. I don't take the numbers off of every single one. I do, when I'm doing my strips, that's when I catch the numbers, but you will get to the point where you don't need 20 number 50s or number 46s. But you know, at first you may cut this little edge off all the time. That's entirely up to you until you have a nice bucket full. And then you can, once you cut them out, you can punch around them, a fancy punch. You can turn this into a label by just trimming it down. So I've trimmed it down like that. You can cut off the little nubs of the corners. And you have an instant little label to put on your projects. Just like that. Bam. Yeah, I'm not supposed to say bam. That's trademark. Did you know that? Sorry, Mr. Emerald? It's just that you use it so often that it comes naturally. So the first piece of ephemera I'm going to show you how to make is just basic stuff, because I don't know if you're a newbie or if you're someone who's been here or been doing journals for a while. But there are so many things that you can make and have ready ahead of time for your ephemera boxes. So the first one we're going to do is just a bookmark. So again, I'm going to take a page. This is rag paper, and it's really nice stuff. It's nice and firm. I'm just going to trim off that edge. When you're doing this at home, you may want to cut a whole pile of them on your cutter, of course, but I like to just cut it by hand. So to make a bookmark, I fold it and leave myself just a little bit of a tab. Now this becomes it's like your margin, but it becomes a little tab. And I just fold. I'm not giving you any measurements again because I don't know what size book you're working with, and you can adapt. You don't have to follow everything right down to the inch. So I've left myself a little spot, maybe about the size of my finger, and I'm just going to fold this over. And I'm going to glue this. Now, if you are gluing and just gluing, no sewing, then you're going to want to glue this down quite well. I'm going to take this to my sewing machine off camera and sew it after I'm done. And I glue this little tab that I've made and fold it over. And voila, I have a bookmark. The reason I do this little tab thing is if you were to just fold your two pieces over and glue them, there's always going to be that little picky part that can come apart, or where the glue hasn't adhered that you're going to have to go back and fix. If you wrap it around like this, you've got a nice finished edge to match the fold on this side, and you don't have that little picky part. It's over here, but it's not as noticeable as it, and it not so easily to get taken apart if you don't have it on the fold. So that's my reasoning. Now this is a bookmark. You can decorate it however you like. You could add a pretty cluster on top of it. You can cluster it over on the side. You can use a napkin, put a bird, a label, and some scrapbook paper, and you're done. So I make at least 10 of these and have them in my box ready to go all the time. So just in case you didn't quite get this, I'm just being a smarty here right now. I'm going to fold it over. Do it again. And because I'm not worried about gluing it down, I'm going to sew them. I'm just going to flip this over. And so just like that, you have a second bookmark. Or you have a belly band. Or you have a belly band this way. Or you can take your paper and fold it into thirds this way to make your belly band exactly the same thing. But I would leave that. Flip there, flip down, and you have a belly band going this way on your page. So if you had a page, that's how it would sit on the page. Or you can have it this way. Or you can cut it along the top and you have a tag. Put a little hole punch in it at the top and you have a tag that's ready to go, or a tag bookmark. In this case, I would take a piece of paper and I might use my scraps or some brown paper bags or packaging, whatever I have on hand. And I'm going to glue this down to the back side of my tag, and I have a journaling spot. So that's 3, 4, because you can call this a belly band, you can call it a bookmark, you can call it a tag, a tall tag, and you can have a belly band going this way. So that's 4 different pieces that we made using one book page and the same simple fold. One more time, because I like to torture you. That glue is making me crazy. I'm folding it again. Now this is where it gets tricky. Oop, I just kind of crumpled that a little bit. Now, this paper is a little bit fragile, so in my pieces I've got here, and it doesn't matter to me if I do a little repair and it's out of a different book page or it doesn't quite match, because I'm going to cover these anyway. Let's make that fold a little bit better again. And this time, I'm throwing caution to the wind here. I'm going to glue this down, and the rebel that I am, I'm not going to glue this little tabby thing down because I'm going to use it as a flip. I'm going to glue it down to the page, and this now can flip open on your book page. Should show you on a book page, right? Let's see. So I have this book page here in my book. I'm going to glue it down and hopefully cover this with something else so that you don't see that. But when you turn this page over, this will open up and there'll be a little flippy thing. So that's one more thing that you can do. Just doing the basic fold that I've just shown you. And I have all these different ones. If you make 10 of each of these, you are going to be so way ahead of the game when it comes to having things to decorate. So that will go into another slot. Okay, so the next one I'm going to show you is the tag. Now the tag, is going to make it crazy. There are so many ways to make a tag. I don't know where my tags went to. Oh, here they are. Okay, bear with me. Okay, so to make a tag, you need a book page. Trim off your edges. Fold it in half. And make your tag, just like I made this one here. Or, if you want a short, chunky tag, fold it in half this way. Probably would be good to cut this on the cutter to give you a nice straight edge. Again, I'm sewing, so please don't glue the way I do if you're just gluing and not sewing. A little bit of plain paper on the back side to use for writing on. I just made it. Glue down and trim your sides. Now in this one, if you notice, I didn't fold the tab over. I could have. But another thing that you can do is take your paper tape and go and glue along the edges around the sides to finish off your tag. If you want a jumbo tag, take two of these together, trim off the edge. You're watching me trim a lot of edges, aren't you? Folding them together. Glue better if you're doing this just gluing. add your journal spot on the back. As you can see, I don't measure. Seriously, I just measure sort of. Gluing on the back so you have a place to journal or write on. You can also decorate these up with a little bit of your washi tapes or stickers and things that you like to use. Here is where I would definitely glue my edges. And it also, I also take the time to catch the edges of my backing paper. And this can be done before or after when your tag is finished. You may use your scrapbook papers to make a paper tape. You may use packaging or whatever you're decorating with to make your paper tape. This is just to reinforce all of your edges and make sure things like this are glued down nicely and tightly. And then the same thing, you can trim your corners. Now, some of you like to take the one corner and then flip it over and do the other side. I just kind of eyeball it and hope for the best. And then I take the little nubs off. I take the nubs off because of Rachel from Roxy's Creations. You know, I've been making labels for years. I've been making tags for years, and I've always clipped my corners, but it never dawned on me to clip these little ends here at the bottom. It never dawned on me to clip them for journal cards until I started watching her videos. And yeah, it's just a nice way of finishing, and it's kind of the flavor of the month. And you know, I may change my mind and do round corners next month, and I may do sharp corners the month after. So it's whatever you like. And then I'll just continue to go around this tag, and it is ready to go into my box of ephemera that is ready to be finished. A bird, a piece of napkin, a label, and you've got a tag. So these tags I'm just going to add to my collection here. And I also just made a little notation there that you can also hole punch them yourselves after. And you can see I've made quite a few of these. Long skinny ones. If it's too long for you and you don't think you'll ever use a tag that long, you can always flip it up, glue down the sides, and you have a pocket to put another tag into. Just like that. So hopefully this gives you enough ideas for tags. I have a big pile there ready to go. But I will make 10 of everything. Yes, 10 of everything. Because this way, when I want to sit down and do a bunch of tags for a journal, I just grab the handful of tags and I work on them. Here's another one that I did. I went around the whole sides. Again, a spot for journaling, ready to go. I use coffee dyed paper on the backs of some of my tags as well. So that's just a reminder to remind you that you can use your coffee dyed paper. On these two here, this one's just a folded tag, glued and ready to go, made out of music sheet. This one is a double tag. What I did is I took 2 pieces of paper, yeah, I'm not cutting these perfectly straight. I'll trim them up later when I'm doing my work. This is just to show you. And as I said, I will go around these and stitch them so that they're perfectly done. I will show you some of the finished, ready to go ephemera in the next video that I do. And so once you have your tag glued and stitched and have your journal paper inside, like I've done on this one, you just trim your corners. And you can hole punch it. Just put a little hole punch there and you're ready to go. Now another thing you can do with these, because you know we can never do enough, is you can glue on both sides. You can glue along the bottom. Come on, glue, don't fail me now. I'm using a liquid glue for this. And along the side, or you can leave it open, fold it in half, hole punch it, and you have a tag that you can also use as a pocket. I hope you can see that. I'm not quite glued yet, but it is ready to go as well. So there's another tag that you can make. I've already shown you like 6 tags that you can make with your book pages. So the next thing we're going to make is a corner pocket. And a corner pocket requires a square. So trim your edges off. Pick a corner, any corner, and fold it up to make a perfect square. Now you can see I have that little edge there that it was kind of wonky. I didn't cut it perfectly, but I'm going to just straighten it. You can do this on your cutter as well. You don't have to do it by hand. I just, you know, when I'm doing these, I'm so used to doing tons of them, and if there's something that has to be fixed after or sticking out, I will cut it off after. But for the most part, they turn out pretty good. So you have a corner pocket. Let's just pick this page. So I can glue it to my page like that on 2 sides, or stitch it down on 2 sides. I have a place to put my tags or journal cards or whatever I want to put inside. I can leave this open, put some blank paper on the inside for writing on, and you have that little secret pocket thing that everybody likes. And it's just a great way to have a flippy flop opening it up. You can also glue this around your page, or I should use a bigger page for this, by wrapping it around first, applying some glue here and making a pocket up here, and applying some glue here and making another pocket over there. So there's a corner pocket. That was pretty fast. Make 10 of them. You can decorate them so easily by adding a flower, a bird, and a label. And it just so happens that while I was waiting for you, I made a pile of them. And I think there's more than 10. Now this one was done with 2 pages because the paper was very thin, so I doubled it up. And I made a few of them. And they can still have note paper inside them. I made them in 2 different sizes. If you want a specific size, you can make them 5 by 5, 4 by 4, 3 by 3, 2.5 by 2.5. It's entirely up to you if you want to do all that measuring. I get tired just thinking about it, so I don't bother. But within no time at all, you have all your corners, either doubles or singles. In the case of the doubles, because I was using the music sheet, I made my paper tape to go around all the edges so that it's nicely finished and I don't have to worry about it tearing when I've got it in the books. So there's a pile of those that are done and in my box. Actually, I think I'm going to use this box because I have lots of things to come in here yet. So our next thing is a journal card or a pocket. Where did I put them? Over there. Okay, and these are just some of the signature pages that I did while I was waiting for you. And they're also going in my box here. So a journal card and a pocket. Piece of paper. Fold it in half. Oh, that was kind of a lousy fold. And just catch those rough edges that I didn't quite get. A little bit of glue to hold it together. We all need glue to hold us together, don't we? And some paper tape. Just paper glue onto your paper. And I don't measure. If I come up short, I'll catch it on the other side on that one. If I come up extra, I'll just trim it with my scissors, get rid of that little nubbies. Fold it straight, Kim. People are watching. And then keep going around on all four sides. Again, I don't measure. I don't worry if the paper is one shade different than the other. And I think it kind of adds some interest. And it makes people realize that, like when you say junk journal, you are digging from the bottom of the pile and you're using up the scraps and the bits. If you saw at the end of the day what is in my garbage can, I've either done an awful lot of work to have the garbage can full, or it will be empty, or I don't have to empty it for like a week. And then I just trim off the edges where it has gone over the top until I have all four sides done. Then you can snip your corners, or you can round corner them, however you like. Put paper on the back to write on, and a bird, a napkin, and a label, and you're done. If you want to make a journal, a pocket for your journal, you can use the same method for making a pocket. Let's go back to this page. For some reason, I love this page, but it's not big enough. Let's go back to this one. So this can become a pocket that you glue down on the three sides or stitch on the three sides. And if it's too big, you can make them smaller by trimming them down. I just folded the paper in half and then cut it down to size. If it was too big, I just, in this case, I just trimmed off all of the margin pretty much. Now with the pocket, I always like to fold it over so that you have that nice folded finished edge, so that when you're sticking things into your pocket, you don't have to worry about it catching and peeling things open or even tearing the paper. So this gives it a little bit of strength. And I will still, even after I've folded, I will often go back and just fold this over and glue down just to give it extra strength. Now, some of you like to cut the holes in here. I, again, wait until I know what my project is, but I have them folded and ready to go. And it may seem so minuscule to take a piece of paper and have it pre-folded, but when you're working and you're in a hurry to get something done and you go, oh, I need a little pocket or a little tuck spot, because this would make a great little tuck as well. Often, you think of it as, oh, well, now I have to go dig out a box of paper. I got to go look for something. Then I got to find, and you're in the middle of journaling and decorating your journal. So you've got all your scraps and bits out there from working on your journal. So to have a folded piece of paper that you just grab right out of your ephemera box, your ready to go ephemera box, all you have to do now is glue it closed, decide what kind of hole you want punched on it, because your punch is right on your table because you use that thing all the time. So then decorate it then, and it's ready to go. So having these folded really makes a difference when you have a lot of work to do. And just like that, I have 4, and I'm going to make 10 of each of these to have those done as well. I think I'll put those in the smaller pocket. Okay, so let's move on to the next one in my plan here, which is the coin envelope. Oh, I love the coin envelope. The coin envelope. Okay, I'm going to cut a few papers so that you're not waiting for me. Here's another one of those end pages. So I'm going to put that at the back of my box there. And I always like the pages that have the copyrights on them. I keep those separate as well. But let's grab a few more. Here, where's that book? I'm sorry if I'm taking long at doing this. And I know some of you, I know you've done this before, so yeah, it's a bit of a repeat for you, but for somebody who's new, it isn't a repeat. There's lots to see and do. So I'm just trimming off the rough edges of the pages to do my coin envelopes. Now I'm going to show you several different types again. Oh, found another belly band and another corner. Okay, no measuring. I don't measure because, again, it depends on the size of paper, and I can show you that by doing another piece of paper as well. Approximately 1/3. And fold. And then fold this over so that you have about a finger's length to glue. And just burnish your edge. Now, if this is the bottom, I just turn it up, I don't know, I would say 3/8 of an inch if we were going to measure, approximately, or not quite half an inch. And then on the top, a little bit longer, because this is going to be the tab part of your envelope. And you can make these in any size, and you can adjust the paper if you want it to be taller, shorter, wider. It's up to you. So a little bit on the bottom, just enough that we're going to glue it shut. A little bit longer on the top, because that's going to be the flap of your envelope. You open it up carefully. And I'm going to write an X in here for the 4 pieces that you have to cut out. And you may not be able to see it on camera, but here is the score line. So I'm going to draw a line there for all 4 of those. So these are the pieces that you want to cut out. But if you cut them out perfectly straight to follow the fold line, you're going to have problems where it's catching and buckling a little bit when you refold it. So I tend to cut just on the outside of the folded line, just slightly on an angle, going towards that corner. I'll draw that a little bit better. Hope that makes sense. And then same with on this side, there's your straight folded line. So I just kind of cut it on an angle like this. And I do that for all 4 corners. On the outside of the fold, I just kind of make a little line like that, and a little line, I'm a little off there, and a little bit there. And this is the inside. So if you have to do this for yourself, don't worry about the marks that you have all over your paper, because it's on the inside, right? Nobody's going to see it. I won't tell. And you'll get to the point, and maybe you've done this already, maybe you know exactly what I'm trying to say, but you'll get to the point where you don't need to use this as a method of cutting. So I just take my scissors and trim out that corner and save this. No, I'm kidding. Trimming out all 4 corners. Now, for those of you that have some fancy die machines, you may already have this die, and you can just whip out 20 of these, and by rolling it out on your Sizzix machine or your Cricut, in no time at all. But if you're just, like I said, you're in a funk, maybe you're watching a movie, you got a book and your scissors, you can hand cut these a mile a minute as well, and not have to dig out any machinery, and not have the cost of the machinery as well. So that little piece is your bottom. We're going to flip these over and run a little bit of glue. Now, normally I don't glue these until I'm going to use them, and there's several reasons why, and I'll explain, but you just glue your little flap closed and then glue the bottom. And you have an instant little pocket envelope. Isn't that the cutest thing? Made just like that out of a book page. Now, if you have a pretty cluster on your table, that will hold your envelope closed. This is just a cluster paper clip that I've made. You can use just a paper clip by itself to hold it closed, have a little dangling down. There's so many ways to decorate this. And you can add a bird, a label, and a piece of napkin, and you're done. And it's beautiful. But maybe you want a different kind of bag. So we're going to make another bag without a flap on the top. Again, folding it over, and I don't worry if this centerpiece isn't lined up perfectly. It's not a big deal, and you know, most of the time you're going to be gluing your pocket down, your coin envelope down. But I do give myself about, you know, that much, your finger width for gluing. And this time we're going to fold the bottom up. And we're not going to make a flap for the top. So we're going to draw our lines here. That's the piece we want to cut out. Okay, Kim, let's make this look sort of right. I'm sorry, I just normally cut it, but I realize new people don't quite know what might not quite know what I mean. So I'm just going to cut on the line there to the corner. And cut on the line there to the corner, and rinse and repeat. Now, before you fold up and glue, you may want to decide what it is you want to do with this. And in this case, I already know what I'm going to do with the top of it. So then I'm going to glue this. And I'm taking my deckled edge scissors. You can tear with a tear ruler. You can tear by hand. In fact, let's tear by hand. It's just as fun to tear by hand. And you have a cute distressed little envelope ready to go. And again, if this is off a tiny little bit, it really doesn't matter. But you should probably glue it better than I did here. But that cute little envelope is ready to go. To show you what it looks like with a deckled edge, there's the deckled edge that I used with my scissors. You may have those fancy rulers that have the torn edge, or you may want to use your postage stamp or a nice scalloped edge. You may have another a die cutting tool that will cut you a fancy edge. That's entirely up to you, but having these ready, again, allows you to make that choice. So then the next one I want to make again, fold it over, leave yourself a little spot for gluing, fold up my edge. You see how handy this tool is? And I'm not even getting any endorsements from this. I just love it so much, and it's on my desk. And I have a red one. Normally my glue sticks are clear, but I have a red one here because I lose it on the table all the time if I don't have a red one. I lose the red one too. Now, before you seal this one, you may want to put that nice scalloped edge on it. Or not scalloped, nice finger, what do you say, thumb, whatever, you know what it is, thumb thing. And I'm just going to quickly do that. Have you ever caught your fingers in this thing? Oh boy, does that hurt. I don't want to do that on camera because I'd have to redo the video. So here I've got a little tab in there so people know that it's a place to put something, and you can have something in there. The only thing is I don't like these little corners that are sticking out, and this is why I don't close the envelope right away, because I like to be able to take my scissors and just run across the edge there and just round them. And there's no measurement or planning, but if you do really need to plan, then take a dime or a nickel or a penny and just put it up to the corner and trace around it if that's what you need in order to make the right curve. But that just gives it a nicer finish, and much easier that you don't catch yourself on there, and less chance of tearing the paper.